Good morning, students. It might be afternoon by the time you're watching this. Happy remote day. Get out in the snow, have some fun. It's going to be great. Now, for my class, I have this lecture that I want you to watch. It's about conjunctive adverbs and how to use them. They're commonly known as thamos or whatever No Redding chooses to call them. However, I'm going to enrich that explanation by actually using more of the conjunctive adverbs that are available to you. They limit it. I'm going to use this as just a lecture to help enrich your understanding. I expect you to watch it. It will be on Edpuzzle, meaning I can see if you've watched it or not. So make sure that you watch it. You will then need to do 20 minutes at least of No Redding practice. If you finish the practice, you're done. But set a timer, work for 20 minutes. Look at Google Classroom to make sure that you do everything for today, the remote day. And then also look at tomorrow's work, Wednesday, to ensure that you've done everything for Wednesday's work. And that will not be due until Thursday. If you're watching this and it's not a remote day, it means I'm reusing it for a future time. Okay, let's get right into thamos or conjunctive adverbs. First of all, what is a conjunctive adverb? I'm going to fill this out as I go. A conjunctive adverb in Weaver's definition is an adverb used to join two things in a sentence. That's really the definition of it in a very simple way. Now, you will not, sometimes it's meant to interrupt, but you're still joining two ideas and you're using it to join. But sometimes you interrupt with it, sometimes you join two independent clauses. There's various uses for them. And there's different ways to punctuate depending on how you use the word or words. So let's get right into why do they call it thamos, okay? By the way, I would expect, I gave you a copy of this. You can fill this out as you go. Well, why thamos? Because it's an acronym. The T, it stands for therefore. The H stands for however. The A stands for also. And the M stands for meanwhile. And the O, I think, stands for otherwise. So those are some of the more common conjunctive adverbs. However, there are a lot more. I gave you a PDF with a bunch more, and I got it from this website. Look at all these. Look at this. So why is No Red Ink limiting it to just those? Good question. I don't think that they should. That's why I'm enriching it right here. Look at all these wonderful words that you can use to connect, to interrupt. And sometimes you interrupt with a pause, and sometimes you interrupt without much of a pause. And we're going to go into that in just a moment. So you have this with you, so feel free to look at it. But this is a wonderful list, and there are way more than this. I can think of one. In addition is one that's not even on here. Of course is one. It's not even on here. So there are many more. Okay, so what are the other ones? I just showed you the list. How to use them to combine two independent clauses. Well, I'm going to show you how to do that, how to punctuate it. Here we have two independent clauses. Today is a remote learning day. I will find a way to get outside. So how would you use the word however between those two independent clauses? Well, I put it in parentheses for now. What you're going to do is you're going to use a semicolon in front, and you guessed it, a comma after. Semicolon in front, a comma after. That is the correct way to punctuate two independent clauses when you're combining it with a conjunctive adverb. A word like however. Today is a remote learning day. However, I will find a way to get outside. There's obviously a pause there. You might have that question when you are doing No Red Ink. Here's another example. Mr. Weaver could have stayed home. Nevertheless, he drove to work. Revealing something right now about my current situation. How do you do it? Same way. You have two independent clauses, so you use a semicolon and a comma afterwards. That's how you do that, and you will see lots of those. You do need to know if you have two independent clauses on either side of the conjunctive adverb. How do you know that? There will be a subject and a verb, and it'll sound like a complete thought. Those are things that we've already learned about independent clauses. So when you have two of them right next to each other with a conjunctive adverb in the middle, this is how you punctuate it. Now, What if you're going to interrupt the middle of a sentence with a conjunctive adverb? Here's an example. Mr. Weaver, therefore, was surprised when he entered the parking lot. True story. I drove 30 minutes. Well, I interrupted the sentence with the word therefore. I'm using it to join one idea with another, but I'm using it as an interruption. So when you interrupt and there's a definite pause as you're interrupting, you just set it off with commas on both sides. Okay, here's another example. He was, moreover, crestfallen. Moreover is a nice little conjunctive adverb. You may not know exactly what it means. It kind of means in addition, but look it up. It's a good word. He was, moreover, crestfallen. This is a true statement. And you'll see that I punctuated the true statement correctly with a comma on either side. Now, what if I want to end a sentence with a conjunctive adverb? Or I want to begin or start a sentence with a conjunctive adverb. Can you do that? Of course you can. Check out these examples. Still, Mr. Weaver has decided to have a good attitude. At least I'm really trying really hard to have a good attitude about this. The fact that I'm here and I don't have to be, but that's okay. Still is your conjunctive adverb, and you're going to put a comma after it. There it is. Now it's punctuated correctly. How about this? In addition, he was able to help someone who was stuck in the snow. That's a true story. Somebody had spun out on a country road, and half of her car was sticking out into the road. And so I stopped and helped direct traffic and do some shoveling until a guy showed up with a chain, and we got her out. And off she went to work. So I guess it was meant to be that I came to work today. So maybe that was helpful. But in addition, comma, he was able to help someone who was stuck in the snow. He will not complain, therefore. Well, maybe a little bit, but I'm not going to try not to complain. Therefore is your conjunctive adverb. We put a comma before it. You guessed it. And then here we have, are there ever times you don't need a comma at all? Yes. And here is one example. He will certainly make the best of this situation. I don't need a comma. Certainly is indeed a conjunctive adverb, but there's no pause. Usually, in other words, more often than not, you will need the commas in the middle of the sentence or at the end of or beginning of the sentence. Once in a while, though, you will have words like certainly, and there are others in this list, where you're not using it as with a big pause. Okay? Words like instead. So he will instead go to something. I think you could definitely use that without the pause. Let's see here. Certainly is a good one. Eventually is a good one that you could use without a pause. Equally, conversely, you probably would. Likewise, oh yeah, you could definitely use it without the pause. And so it's kind of up to your interpretation. Use common sense. Use your common language skills to say, okay, do I need the comma here? Now, I will tell you, in No Red Ink, they always give you ones with commas because they have limited it to the thamos, which those ones, okay, these conjunctive adverbs, you would always set off with a semicolon and comma between two independent clauses or the two commas if it's if you're interrupting a sentence. So they made that easy for you. But just know that it's not always the case. And now you know a little more than No Red Ink taught you. You've been enriched today. I hope that's been helpful. Please look at Google Classroom. Please work on your No Red Ink for at least 20 minutes. I believe that you have to work for 20 minutes tomorrow, but you have some other things to do as well. So make sure that you've done all of your work for remote day so that you can go outside and truly enjoy your time in the snow. Go sledding. Probably can't do a snowball fight, but go sledding, have fun, and I will see you the next time we meet.